Alright, good morning folks. This is another episode of the Jiggee Jon show. This is episode 5, I believe. And we have an exciting guest today. And I am outside his house. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get him in. It is my man. It is our celebrity chef of Malaysia, Chef Darren Teoh.
What's up?
What's up, homie?
What's up, man?
This is a buddy from a long time ago. Probably one of my oldest friends in my life. Technically.
Yeah.
25 years and counting, maybe even more actually.
Yeah.
My earliest memory of knowing your whole family is probably at the age of 6 or 7, dude.
Yeah.
For me.
It's no.
You would have been 5.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I believe so. So, thank you so much for making this happen because you're a busy man, I'm a busy man, but we've made it happen. So I've just rocked up to his crib somewhere in PJ. I'm not going to say where in case you guys stalk him.
Yeah, don't do that.
Let's not do that. But coming down these streets bring back amazing memories for me, dude. He grew up on the streets.
Right, the youth house is just right behind there.
I know, Jiska.
Yeah,
My
man.
God, the memories that we had. Alright, so for those of you who don't know who this man is, very nondescript, very low profile, but he's doing amazing things and I think he's got a great story. That's why I decided to bring him on the show this week. But Darren, as we know today, is the man behind a restaurant called Dewakan. Is that a restaurant or a brand?
Oh, it's a restaurant.
It's a restaurant, yes. And very recently it was voted one of Asia's top 50.
Yes.
That's awesome. Now let's backtrack because technically I didn't even see you becoming a chef, dude. Because I've known you from the earliest of times, but never ever saw that happening. I mean, then again, neither would you have seen this happening, say, for my career. It's kind of interesting because we've known each other our whole lives, not knowing where we would go as grown adults.
Yeah.
And here we are today doing what we do, crafting our craft.
Yeah.
But tell me, man, how did that happen? Like, how did the whole journey as a chef begin?
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a lot of things in life, right? I mean, you just don't really expect it to pan out. I mean, if we all pursued the ambition that we wrote down in Sekolah Rendah, we'll all be like, a be fireman or be like in the army or something like this. Like you want to save the world. But, but I think a lot of it is just really a culmination of a lot of experiences that just led us to what we found. And I think for me at least, I was quite blessed to not have that pressure of like, okay, you have to be an accountant, you have to be a lawyer or something like this. But
I mean, I know your folks, man. I don't think they would have ever said, okay, you're gonna be this, you're gonna be that.
Yeah. No, my dad was quite instrumental in moving me towards the kitchen actually.
Really?
Yeah, you would not believe.
I never saw Uncle Theo in the in the kitchen ever.
No,
really?
Yeah, but you see, it wasn't about that. It wasn't about the kitchen. He was telling, because he knew that I'm not that guy who sits in the class and so he knew that, and he called it out and he said, like, you know what, go and do something with your hands, go and figure something out. But there was a caveat, was that do something with your hands, pick up a skill, but also I'm gonna fund your degree, right? So there was this foresight into knowing that, look, once you've come to the point where you have a skill enough with your hands, then you would also need to have some way to manage that skill. And so that was like amazing foresight from my dad.
So after high school, what did you do right away?
Right away, I joined this really it's a hotel school called Pernas.
Okay.
And it's defunct now.
I was gonna say, I've never heard of it.
No, yeah, it was very small. It was not a school that lasted for very long as well.
Huh.
It was under Perbadanan Nasional. And
right. Where was it?
This was in Complex Antara Bangsa, the old Hilton. The Hilton, it was just right next to it. The building was just right next to it. Yeah,
Okay.
It was that long ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was an amazing experience, because the life lessons that you took from that place was insane. We met some lifelong friends we've had now for so long now, and the experience that being young and being engaged right in the middle of the city, where you have places to go and work part-time, you can go and do hotel work, you can do restaurant work, and it was always an excuse to make a little bit of money.
Right.
And there was life experience that you can't really substitute. It's kind of like, you know, when you started with the clowning and stuff.
Right.
You know, it's just like, you know, you can't replace that sort of.
I still have memories of a lot of those moments, and you're absolutely right, because I guess even with you, so every gig I did taught me something different.
Yeah, it was very defining. Those were defining moments.
That is true. That is true.
And that developed the love of the craft for me, you know.
So was that a 4-year degree back then?
It was 3 years.
So what happened after graduation?
After graduation, I bumped around in KL for a couple of months with some less than savory gigs.
Wait, outside of the kitchen?
No, inside the kitchen, but it was.
Are we allowed to even talk about it, dude? Because it is amazing, from unsavory gigs to Dewakan, man. That's a heck of a story.
Yeah.
What kind of what were you doing? Burger Rumblies or what?
No, it was. I think like the first place I took a steady job at was this place at Hatamas. I can't remember what the name of the place was. But,
Okay.
It was this guy who had some cash, and
Okay.
was changing his concept every now and then.
Okay.
And I had no idea what I was doing. He just hired me because we graduated with a degree. I graduated with a degree.
Right.
And completely clueless. And yeah, so a lot of interesting, you know, things that happened, and that come to think about it, like 20 years later, it's like, well, it's pretty dodgy. Pretty dodgy.
Man, let's not delve on that.
No.
But, so what happened after that?
Then I got a job in Singapore.
I remember that, because
Yes.
I mean, we kept in touch for a wee bit, because I know something about Berlin as well. Was it Berlin?
No,
New York.
So
Somewhere.
the overseas gigs were mostly very short gigs. Like I went for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks is what we call a stagiaire. And a stagiaire is basically an attachment that happens. You don't get paid for it, right? But you go for an exposure.
Okay.
And so that happened very much later in my career, sometime around.
So Singapore, sorry,
Yeah.
I jumped the gun there. So
No,
you
no
went to
problem.
Singapore?
So Singapore, okay, so the story for Singapore was also quite interesting. There was this chef who was in Malaysia, and he moved to Singapore, and he opened his own place in Singapore. It's a European guy.
Okay.
And through a mutual friend, he helped to arrange for me to get hired at another restaurant in Singapore.
Okay.
And so everything was going good, and I was planning to move down, and about a week before I was about to start my work and to join the restaurant, the chef emails me and said like, look, I'm sorry, I had to give away your spot. I don't have a job for you.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I was like absolutely crushing. And we've already made the arrangements to like move down and things like this. So I said, oh, yeah, okay. So it's like quite disappointing. I went down. I went to the other chef who hooked us up, and I spent a day working with them. And it was after that day that that was really a pivotal moment, because it was right at that day that I thought like, this is something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Really?
You know, yeah, it was
In Singapore?
In Singapore was like it was like when you take things seriously.
Yeah.
Like you can be good at something, but then there are times when you really take things seriously, and that was that defining moment. And
What year was that?
Starts with a 2. I can't remember.
2002, 2003?
Yeah, maybe 02 or 01 maybe.
Okay.
Maybe it was 01.
Okay.
And then I went in earnest, and I just knocked on every door. You didn't have that, Google and Yahoo were not the greatest back then.
Not
right?
that.
So
I mean, it was there, but just
it was
not
there. Yeah, but it was not like
what it is today.
now. Yeah.
Correct.
So you had to really put your feet down and start walking the pavement, and knocked on just about every door that I thought was a plausible place for me to pick up a skill and to be a lot better.
Yep.
And Fullerton was one of them. Raffles was another.
Wow.
So there were hotels, but then I stopped at Les Amis, and Les Amis was at that time was one of the best French restaurants in.
You telling me you walked, or you kind of literally knocked on doors in restaurants and
I did that, man.
in Singapore?
Yeah, in Singapore.
Just that's like equivalent to cold calling.
Yes, it was.
You literally did that.
I did that.
Wow.
Yeah, because
not responding to newspaper ads or whatever.
well, yeah, it was a bit of that. It was a bit of that, and then a bit of like calling some friends, or you know. No, actually, I didn't have friends. It was mostly. I mean, no. I mean,
not like that, but in Singapore, you know.
No connected friends in Singapore.
I understand.
And then we talked. So I talked to that previously to that, you know, the chef who hooked me up, and so he gave me a list, and so I just you know, whatever I could get.
Yep.
That I thought that I felt this was impressive. I remember going to hotel lobbies, and at the time I used to journal a little bit, and I would just talk about, you know, hopelessness and hope, right? Because
so you were a vlogger, blogger before that thing even became something. That's actually true. Do you still have those journals?
Yeah, I think I have a couple of them.
You should post them up.
Maybe not.
Well, you should give me a snapshot, so I'll include it in this little
very, very scary stuff.
Oh my god, your doodles.
Yeah, doodles and scribbles.
Yeah,
but it was, you know, it was that kind of aimlessness that forced you to say like, okay, look, I have to make some sort of compass.
Yep.
And that's when I went doing all of that.
Yep.
And then I got a job at this place called Lezami, and which I told you was like a very top tier restaurant.
Yep.
And then I spent most of my career with that company, but in like 3 different restaurants.
Oh wow! How long were you with that group?
5 years, I think.
Nice.
5 or 6 years.
And 3 restaurants across Singapore?
Across Singapore, yeah.
Right.
So 2 of them were fine dining ones, and then one was like a bistro, which was like amazing food.
Still around in Singapore, by the way?
2 of those restaurants are no longer in Singapore. I mean, they've closed, and then one is still the like flagship restaurant up at Scotts Road.
Very good. So that's still going strong, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So what happened after Singapore?
After Singapore, there were some things that I needed to come back to KL for, and
outside of cooking?
Outside of cooking, yeah.
Okay.
And so I had to look for a job here. And by chance, KDU University, at college at the time, was opening a
culinary school.
Well, no, they've already had a culinary school, but they were doing something different, and that's what I liked about this company. They were going to open this cafeteria, and it was like supposed to be like, you know, it was kind of inspired by Google, like sort of like where you get like different types of food, and I was hired to be sort of like a manager of sorts.
Okay.
For that. So
Okay.
it's like kitchen manager kind of thing.
Right.
So I took that job, and after about 2 years at that, doing that, I took a teaching position with the college.
Right.
And then I was teaching for up until 5 years ago.
That's right.
Yeah, so it was just so it was.
This brings back a memory. Do you remember that we ran a Masterchef thingy for Shell?
I did. Yeah.
I can't believe it. I love it, you know, because given the fact that there's a lot of you guys who've been in my life from like when we were kids.
Yeah.
And you all are still involved in my life. People like Joshua Chan takes my photos.
Yeah. He does mine.
You know what I mean? And it's like we actually grew up together.
Yeah.
We knew each other as kids.
Andrew.
Well, Andrew's my right-hand man today.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a great journey. I was just talking to Manish yesterday, and we brought up the Royal Rangers code.
Oh, okay. Really?
You know, and ready to serve, and you know, like I think that's a code. Yeah, we were just talking about it. He's like, "Oh, it's funny how we talked about that as children, or we memorized it, but now when you break it down as grown adults, you're like, huh." There's actually a lot of truth to
There's
that.
a lot of truth in it.
A lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that.
And it defines our character, right?
I mean, it does. It does.
I think like a lot of what I've learned through Rangers was, especially when I was young, right? Like small Bible verses and things like, they define my moral compass. They define my work ethics.
Yep. It's absolutely right. You know, and I think. Yeah, which is why, so it's like working with you and a few others that we've had along the way, it's like we kind of knew the basis of where we were, how we were raised, and we kind of know that
there was an expectation.
The standards have been set. Like you're not gonna muck around because we're gonna hold each other to the yardstick.
Absolutely.
Which we will not impose on others, but because we were raised that way, it's a natural assumption that these are the yardsticks that we're gonna abide by.
Yeah, absolutely, actually.
Yeah. So I think it was during your KDU period that you helped me with the Masterchef.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I you know, at any rate, I mean, like teaching was an interesting thing because there's always this natural inclination inside the kitchen that you train the next guy.
Right.
Because if not, that means that you're going to get stuck doing everything. You know? And so it's always like a training is a very natural thing that happens in the kitchen. So that making that shift into education was it was not very difficult, but it was different.
Right.
Like, from example, I came from a kitchen that was a very hard kitchen.
Okay.
It was very disciplined. It's very quiet.
Right.
But it's very disciplined. It's very regimented.
Okay.
And so you expect that of anybody who comes in as well.
Right.
But with students, you can't do that because there's like a zero level knowledge base.
Wow.
So you have to kind of, you know, shift your own expectations, your own. You can't be as crazy as you thought. You know,
Never thought about it that way. Yeah.
So that was that period of There was a period of adjustment. I mean, like, also doing things like speaking while you're cooking. That was tough.
Wow.
Because when you're cooking in the kitchen, you don't really speak, and you just like do. But when you're teaching kids, like in college, you have to be able to make it very, very clear to them.
Understand.
Which
Wow.
really made something new in me, I think.
So after teaching for 5 years, then what happened?
I was teaching for a little bit longer than 5 years. I think it was about 8 years plus.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I needed to stop teaching because it was just something that I was unhappy. No, I won't say unhappy. I was just dissatisfied with it because I felt like I could be doing more.
Right.
And
Right.
So I was about to leave the school, but at the same time, the college was planning to move to this new campus out in Camry, and one thing that they wanted to do was they wanted to make education relevant, and by doing that, they wanted to go through the entrepreneurship route.
Nice.
So they say, okay, look, you know, why don't we try this as a project?
Right.
And so they funded Dewakan, the first iteration of Dewakan.
How did you even come up with the concept, with the name, with all of that? Like, I mean, tell us that.
Okay, so it's a little bit of everything. The name. Okay, let's start with the concept.
Yep.
The concept is loosely put together by a lot of other things that are happening around the world.
Okay.
It's I won't say it's a global trend, but there's a global awareness of people who want to do things they're tired of importing everything.
So the whole farm to fork thing?
A little bit.
Okay.
But when I was in Ojadan under the Lesami group, there was a last restaurant I worked with. Chef, it's a very French restaurant, like a super French restaurant. But he was the chef, who is a local Singaporean guy, was just kept on being disappointed with the imported fish that used to come in, right? And so he started to look for fish that was local, and we had tiger groupers, and we would get them live.
Yep.
And we would get them every 2 days or every 1 day.
Yep.
So I was processing fish every day. The first time we learned how to kill the fish en masse, so that we could process them. So you're talking about like 15, 16 pieces, coming in on the same day. They're all live, and they're all like flapping all over the place. So it's like it was like a wildlife. It was like a wildlife scene in the kitchen.
Wow.
So the first time I filleted it, and we thought, okay, so there was, the rest of the kitchen was also there, and it's like, hey, you know what? Sushi's kind of like the same, right?
Yeah.
So if the fish was really fresh, you'd be able to taste it raw. So I took a slice.
Yeah.
And I ate it. And I was like, oh my god, for the first time, like a local fish.
Okay.
Tasting this way.
Wow. Okay.
And that was that seed that started
The defining moment?
Yeah, it was. It was a defining moment. It was. That's the seed that started everything.
And what fish was that?
That was just a tiger grouper.
Okay.
You know, one from the Kelongs. It was from the,
wow.
It was just farmed, but it was live when it came here.
Okay.
And then from there it was like, okay, so what else?
Right.
And then it went to vegetables, and then, you know, farm visits became like a thing for us, for myself anyway. And then we moved, and then I started teaching, right? So I still brought that along with me.
Yep.
And I had this very interesting subject. It was called molecular cooking back then, and there was just more like advanced technology, sort of like cooking stuff.
Right.
That was trendy at the time.
Okay.
And we incorporated local produce into the class. And when we did that, so that also meant that we had to look for new suppliers, and so then it was me learning about our own country.
Yep.
And
Of course.
finding out the ingredients and looking at all this other stuff.
Yep.
And that's what made it. That's how it was a natural progression from just like some tiger grouper,
Wow.
all the way up to Dewakan.
How old is Dewakan today?
5 years now.
Oh man. So when did you? I guess from the time you started to a point of you were satisfied with the brand and then the identity of the restaurant. When did that happen?
I don't know if
Or has it even happened? That's a better
I
question.
don't think it's like something that you could. I don't think you could say like I've arrived, right?
Okay.
You look at brands like Coke and McDonald's, they're constantly just you know, evolving themselves, making their message relatable to the right people, and as mass as they are a very good benchmark.
Yep.
For a lot of things. And as far as our brand is concerned, I think we're not trying to satellite ourselves around what a brand should be. I think what we want to do is our brand should be how we work,
Yep.
how we feel about things, how we treat our staff, how we, you know, being as nice. If Dewakan was a person, is being as nice a person as, or a person who's got character and integrity. So I think we try to focus around that, and that also means that we learn things.
Yep.
And we learn that some things, so the way that we do certain things in the kitchen or in the restaurant might not be the best way for people wise.
Yep.
You know, and how we treat our own staff, and what are the things that they are looking for, and what they, because I believe that they need to be happy with doing what they are doing. Because if I'm happy doing it, they shouldn't be vicariously happy through me. They should also find their own fulfillment.
Yep.
And I think then when we find that balance, or when we find that sort of compass, then the brand becomes stronger, because they want to represent the values that the restaurant stands for.
So how did this recent, would it be an award or just
It's a listing.
A listing,
Yeah.
yep. How did that come about?
No idea, no clue. 50 Best has been in Asia for Asia 50 Best list has been, I think it's 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, well, exactly, to make it in its 5th year, that says a lot, man.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. We don't know, because the people who come and the voters, they are anonymous, and it's amazing that they even heard of a small little restaurant out in Clemery.
I mean, to be fair, your location, given the restaurant and that, literally the hype around it, that's, for me, that's the greatest shocker.
Yeah.
The fact that you're not in downtown Kuala Lumpur, you're not in swanky new PJ, but you're in Glenmarie. Because aside from Utropolis and KDU, the rest of that place is a bit of a dump. You know what I mean?
Like,
it's cars and it's factories and all of that.
Comfort Super Cab or something like that is there, right? And
I didn't know that.
yeah, so if you're taking like one of the ways that Waze takes you through, you'll see like a whole bunch of taxis just dumped on the side of the road.
No kidding.
So it's and then you're going to prepare to pay like up to about 400 plus per person at this place. It's it's quite crazy.
I know that is, but I mean, like, what's your feeling of after hearing that you were listed, and and then what was the feeling for you, man? Like, I mean,
it was euphoric.
Explain that, because you just said you've not arrived, I like that because it just means you're staying hungry and you're gonna remain hungry.
yeah,
you're gonna keep
hungry.
you're gonna keep chasing, right?
Yeah.
But that's great. So the feeling, how did you first hear about the fact that you were...
So many things, man.
So but how did you first hear about it? Was it an email?
Yeah, so they notify you through an email.
Okay.
And so the first time when I saw that, I read it. I had read it like 6 times, 7 times, and then when I was like very sure, it's like reading a contract. You just wanted to be sure.
It's not spam and all
yeah,
that.
you wanted to be spam, and sometimes maybe you got too excited and actually it meant something else. You didn't want to be there. So
You've been invited to judge the 50 top.
Yeah, or you're invited as a special guest, but you're not on the list. So I read it and I read it and I read it, and there was a sense of relief. Because relief in the sense that you feel like all this work has been validated.
It's paying off,
Yeah, it's paying off.
Or it paid off at this moment,
correct.
this exact moment.
Yes, correct. At this moment, there was this sense of like joy. There was this sense of like suddenly anxiety because you're not sure on the whole 50 which one you're standing at.
Right.
So it was really flooded.
But which standings were you at, by the way?
We were number 46.
Wow.
Yeah, 46.
And the only Malaysian restaurant.
And the only Malaysian restaurant.
Wow.
First and the only Malaysian restaurant.
First?
Yeah, first Malaysian restaurant.
Ever?
In that list, yeah.
In 5 years?
In like,
whoa, dude.
So it was a big thing.
It is huge.
Yeah, it was a big
it's
thing.
Huge. Wow.
We're very thankful for it.
Yeah.
The first thing I did was I grabbed my laptop from the office and I ran to the kitchen. And I said, guys, come, okay, read this very carefully. And then
tell me I'm not seeing things.
Oh man.
Tell me I'm not seeing things.
Yeah, you just and the guys were just like euphoric, I was like, wow.
Was there like this whole, did they exclaim out loud or chefs are a little bit more sedated?
We're quite sedated. My kitchen, I am a bit more antisocial,
You gotta get me in there, man. I would have been throwing fish at you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know. It was a very. This is the first time I'm actually talking about how we felt about it on that day.
Well, because that's why I wanted you to share that story because, I mean, just like you, I personally feel I've not arrived, and if that kind of news were to hit me, dude, I'll be turning cartwheels, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So for people like us, because we put our heart and soul into what we do.
Yeah.
And I get it when you say that feeling. But the thing is, I also know you personally, so I was curious to see whether you're gonna pull off a stunt the way I would, or whether you do it in the good old fashioned Darren Teoh way, lah. Because for me, you're always Mr. Cool, lah. Mr. Low profile.
No, that's the thing. I didn't know how to express myself that way. I've not had training in that. Because you really, I felt like doing all of that, but I just didn't know. It was mine and like hands were not coordinating that time, right?
Wow. When was that, by the way? How long ago was this? 3 months? No.
So we've got the award now in. So it was March 26, I think. Yeah. So it was March 26.
Okay.
So it was a very interesting ride.
And those are permanent bragging rights, by the way, right?
Yeah, for the year.
Okay.
So
but I mean, you get to say that in 2019 you were in the top 50, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's
cool.
great, but at the same time, with that list, you've seen like different restaurants react to that list in a way that it becomes like I need to be on that list every year. Then the character of the restaurant also starts to change, right?
So are you affected by that? Do you think that you're gonna have to strive harder now to stay on the list, or you're just gonna keep doing what you're doing and just let Dewakan be Dewakan, helmed by Darren Teoh, and you're not gonna let it get to your head, or just strive to just aim to keep being on the list?
I want to be like that. I want to be
on the list every year.
No, I want to be able to say that this list will not affect me.
Right.
But to be very truthful, I don't know. It's only my first year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because you don't know how it's going to react, and if you don't get it next year, how do you feel?
Yeah.
We definitely will push, but I don't want to push because of a list. I want to push because that's what we've been doing anyway.
Of course.
And that's what we feel like it's important for us.
Understand. Do you have any of your team members who've been around since day one?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've got one who's been with me since the beginning. He's my right hand guy.
So he must be feeling pretty good about this.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Because it's usually, it's one thing for us as founders, but I think it sometimes means a whole lot more to your number 2 and number 3.
it does.
And
It does.
and I'm waiting for the magic to happen so that people like Andrew can gloat in it. It's not just me.
No,
Because Andrew has been with me since 2015.
Yeah, and he pushes.
2005. Sorry, that's 14 years. Yeah.
Yeah, pushes.
Sorry,
just
what
as
am I
hard.
saying? Yeah, 14 years. Coming up on 15 next year. So, I mean, he's been there from the get-go. And so same goes to your number 2 guy.
Yeah.
I think it is very therapeutical for them.
Yeah, I think it's, and also I've been thinking about this quite a bit. The responsibility you have to, they put a lot of faith in us.
They do because their lives are in your
Correct,
hands,
right? What am I
so to
doing
speak,
in
yeah.
Glamory?
Right.
Cooking in Glamory in this restaurant
Yeah.
that's owned by a university. Nobody's
Correct.
going to take us seriously.
Yep.
I mean, you have all of these. You imagine that they have all of these concerns, and you're responsible for that.
You are.
So when this thing happened, it was like, wow, validation for entire team. Like, like, okay lah, you can trust me.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So, I mean, which is why I was, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of us close friends who have known you, pretty much all our lives, we're very proud of the fact that this happened to you.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure I speak for everyone else who knows you from childhood days.
Yeah.
And I read that interview. Was it the Tatler? I don't know. There was a really good interview that someone interviewed. Was it a Tatler?
What was it about?
I don't know. It was an interview with you about the award, a recent one which you posted.
Which I posted.
It was a.
I think if it's the one that I posted, it was probably to do with my. Was it a Mother's Day one?
Was it Mother's? Yeah, and the thing is, you pretty much spoke about how the fact that your mom has been your backbone, right?
Yeah, it's my mom's.
So that was Mother's Day.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it wasn't about Dewakan.
No, it was like loosely related.
See, but the funny thing is, everything you said there, I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? I do. Your parents were like our thinking parents do.
Yeah, no.
So the Chans and the Teohs have basically been surrogate mothers and fathers to every one of us because of the fact that, which is why everything you said, I'm like, actually, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I can relate to that because we're gonna keep calling her Commander Teoh or Commander Teresa.
Yeah.
But it's like we can relate to that because she was mother hen to all of us.
No, that was it, and it had really very little to do with the fact that we are friends. It had very little to do with
True.
that. What it had to do, to give the credit was that their very nature, their very character was, it could have been any other situation.
True.
It could have been in, if it was not in Grace, it could have been, in a school or something like that. That's what she is.
Right.
Up to today. I mean, she's running a enrichment center in.
I didn't even know until I read your interview.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? After all of this, now she should be relaxing and shaking legs and just hee hee ha ha. Because you guys are all sorted.
Yeah.
Now she just be super grandma, but no. On the contrary, she's still
She's doing the opposite. She's turning 61 this year.
But I think I know why lah. I think she's been inspired by Tunem lah, like the rest of us. No, you know what? Because she's still a baby by his standards.
Oh
lah.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like big 30 years gap.
Yeah, she's still got 30 years of catching up to do with
Yeah.
him. So I can understand why. And then again, she's been wired her whole life lah.
Exactly. And
So you can't just expect her to just
you can't just put a full stop to it.
Ain't gonna happen. That's
And-
gonna be me. I'm telling you. I'm gonna be wired till the day I go.
No, that's true. I mean, what could you see yourself doing other things? I'm not sure.
I'll be very miserable. I'll die a slow death if I wasn't doing what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
right. I mean, so Shireen has like problems when we go for like short holidays. Like maximum I can chill out is 3 days. That's the maximum.
Serious, huh?
Yeah.
We should go find a restaurant somewhere and help in the kitchen then. That'll be awesome.
Otherwise, I'm like crawling all over. Like we should go check out this restaurant. we should,
Right.
Like check out this place. Da da da.
So what inspires you, man?
That's a really tough question. And I've thought about it quite a lot. Like what really inspires me. I can't say anything inspires me. Or rather, maybe I should say everything inspires.
Yep.
Like, I don't think I'm in a very unique situation.
Yep.
Where I can do what I really enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's that buzz. I know you know what I mean. Because
Yeah.
it's that buzz. It's that this ability to just be very happy with the outcome of what you're doing. Because the outcome is not just about whether you pass or you fail.
Yep.
There was that whole process of that learning and that adjusting, and that maybe there was that stress at that moment or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this keeps me going. So if people ask me like, oh, how do you get inspired with this dish?
Yeah.
I don't. I'm just continuously
No, you're
thinking.
absolutely right. I mean, as much as I'm inspired by a few things, but I'm just wired and I'm just doing what I'm doing.
Right.
And I'm just doing what I'm doing because I want to do it better and better.
Absolutely.
I just want to keep getting better at what I do.
That thought process is continuous.
Yeah.
You don't sit and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to think about this dish right now. I'm going to think about this event right now. You don't do that.
Yeah.
You're just continuously thinking about it.
So what's next?
Yeah. Funny you should say that. We're moving the restaurant.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, to a KLCC.
It's
postcode.
happening.
Yeah, it's happening.
Oh, wow, dude!
Yeah.
You got a space already?
Yeah. We're looking at opening in October. So construction is starting.
Oh, where, if I may ask?
Yeah, it's at the Platinum Park.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, Nazar Towers.
Yeah.
48th floor.
Dude, that's gonna change a lot.
Yeah,
of things.
yeah,
Life
it
is
is.
Gonna change. You might be on the list every year then.
I don't know, but
Wow, how did that happen?
we were looking for a space about 3 years ago.
I know. I remember you telling me this
Yeah.
the last time we had a catch up.
Yeah, we were looking for space, and we were looking for things that were more idealistic for Dewakan. So we were thinking, bungalow, space for land, we had
Yep.
land for maybe a little bit of farming, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, KL is not the best place for that. lah.
No, not at all.
And we were trying to consider the business decision of Glenmarie versus somewhere else.
Yep.
Do we go further
Yep.
and become a destination?
Yep.
But then you'd have to worry about traffic footfall and things
Exactly.
like this.
Yeah.
And at that time, one of the brothers of the Nazar group approached us and said like, hey, we've got this space.
Yep.
Do you want to have a look at it?
Right.
And I went, and I was not feeling it because it was in an office block, and it was just was not what we were thinking of.
Right.
But then about a year later, it was actually about a year ago, we felt like, okay lah, we need to also know how to manage the business as a business.
Yeah, of course.
And that's where we came to that sort of conclusion that we'll take up the space lah.
Wow, dude, that's awesome. October, huh?
October, yeah.
Excited?
Yeah, a bit of both.
Scared?
Weary, scared, and
Yeah,
excited.
I can imagine, man.
Because it's a big amount of investment that's going inside.
Sure.
And then there's also the expectations, and you want to.
But I think if you don't push yourself now, then when? You know what I mean? I think you've had a 5-year run at Glenmarie just to perfect the craft. And I think it was timely that you got this award.
Yeah.
Or this listing, I should say.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's the right direction. It's the next thing, And if you don't push yourself now to onward to greater things, then when, right?
Yeah. I totally agree. And it's also recognizing that different junctures of your life. I can no longer cook like I used to cook.
Oh wow, really?
You know what I mean? Because then I have to go for meetings, I have to answer media, I have to do all this other stuff, and you can't cook the same way as in like be in the kitchen from the beginning up to the end, which is what my boys do.
Right.
They kick it every day.
Right.
So knowing that, and then also realizing that there's a different aspect to the restaurant, a different aspect to the kitchen, which you have to learn.
Yep.
And that's also exciting.
Of course.
It's a struggle.
Yep.
But it's also exciting. So preparing for this restaurant, you had to put together P&L and
Of
projections
course. Of
and all
course.
of that. So
Of course.
You're
now a big boy, man. You're now playing in the big league, in the main league.
Correct,
Premier
correct.
One.
Yeah, big boy gang. And
Crazy,
that's,
man.
That's been interesting lah. Yeah, that's been really quite.
So it's really interesting because yes, you're a chef, but now you are a business owner.
Yeah, in a sense.
You know, but yes, you've got partners, yada yada yada. But the point is,
that you're running a business.
Yeah, you never saw that happening.
No,
20 years ago.
No, absolutely.
When you went into culinary school and all of that.
Because when you start off, I mean, at least for people like me, when you start off, you really just have your head down.
Yep.
And you could not see the possibilities. You could not see the possibility. I mean, you know it's there. You just couldn't see how you're going to get there.
No, of course.
And I think that's a lot of frustration with like the younger guys right now is that they want, because everything is accelerated.
No, you're right.
You know, our work ethos has always been work hard, get it done right, do it smartly, make the right decisions.
No, absolutely.
And at some point, you'll find a milestone that you can reach,
exactly.
Right? You might not be the milestone, but a milestone. But I think with things being so accelerated these days, it's been compressed. And so before you even learn the craft, you already want to hit that milestone.
No, that's true.
You know, and
everybody wants it supersized and Red Bull inspired. You know, no offense to Red Bull. You know, great brand and all that good stuff. That didn't sound right the way it came up, but you know, you get what I mean. And I think, but this is so exciting because you know, I've watched it happen, and now to hear Dewakan 2.0. This is pretty interesting. This is actually, I mean, I didn't know this, right? So this is very exciting. And who knows where it's going to go from here.
Who knows, man,
You know, maybe a branch somewhere, a franchise. You know, I mean, like, it's the same way the Penang restaurant that's around the world. Like, you've got this Malaysian restaurant. You know? But personally, this is just me just putting it out there. Like, who knows? Maybe one day you could be that high-end, fine dining Malaysian restaurant export to the world.
Yeah, it's possible.
Why not? Why couldn't we have Dewakan, London, New York, Paris? Because before this, if you travel, especially in the States, I think the chain is called the Penang restaurant. And they had one in LA, they had one in Chicago and New York. I went to the one in New York actually. And the thing is, Malaysians, wherever they go, there's always a Malaysian restaurant. Like, you know, my brother who lives in Calgary now, he said there's a Malaysian restaurant.
In Calgary?
Calgary, in Canada.
Yeah, really?
Oh yeah, Joshua lives there, one of the twins.
But there's a restaurant there, there's a Malaysian
no, I don't know what the hell it's called, but there is definitely a Sam Kakak lah.
Yeah, really,
I'm not, dude, Malaysians being Malaysians, loving the food the way we do.
Yeah, they do something about it.
Those who have some elements of kitchen skills will definitely set it up and make a killing. So, who knows where Dewakan can go with this, you know what I mean?
It's exciting.
Like, I'm super excited to see your journey, man. Anyways, I know you gotta move on real quick, and I told you 30 minutes. We've spent 40 minutes talking.
Did we? Okay.
It's been 40 minutes, dude.
It's been
Darren. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Darren Teoh, Chef Darren Teoh of Dewakan, and we've just heard a little insight into his journey. So for those of you who feel that it's not possible and you want to give up when the going gets tough, well, here's a true story to let you know that you gotta keep hustling and keep doing what you do. This is the Jiggee Jon Show, Carpool episode 5 with my man, Chef Darren Teoh. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
It's been an absolute pleasure hearing your story, your journey. And for all of you out there, keep subscribing, liking, and following me on this journey as I get great people in the hot seat as we carpool around Kuala Lumpur. Till next week, cheerios, toodles.
Peace out.
From